Good morning, beautiful souls, and welcome to your favorite breakfast show, that is Smell the Coffee, on this beautiful Good Friday morning. I am Glenora Shipura, and I will be riding a solo on this show, but nonetheless, I will be having your warm company to guide and be with me throughout the show. Now, in today's episode, we are obviously going to take a look and have a broader scope around Easter, the trivia, and of course, we will give you an interesting interview and also a very interesting story. So stick around for this and so much more on Smell the Coffee. In today's morning brew, we are diving into the richness of the Easter, not just the chocolate eggs and the bunnies, but also the deeper meaning behind it all. From the resurrection story that changed history for some, surprising trivia that will have you saying, I didn't know that, and it's all happening right here. So starting us off with some Easter facts and Christian traditions. Now, the heart of Easter, the resurrection of Christ. For Christians, Easter Sunday marks the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, a foundational event that symbolizes victory over death and the promise of eternal life. Good Friday's deep significance. Now, today is a Friday. I know people like celebrating because, you're off. But let's take a look at the deeper significance of what Good Friday is about. The Friday before Easter is known as Good Friday, the day Jesus was crucified. It's called good because it led to the resurrection and the salvation of mankind. Now, this is according to Christian traditions. The 40-day spiritual journey is another factor to take a look at. Leading up to Easter is Lent, which is a 40 days of fasting, prayer, and reflection, mirroring Jesus' 40 days in the wilderness. Now, if there are some people that are watching that have also practiced something like this, like a 40 days of Lent, where you are fasting, you're praying, and you're just, strengthening your spiritual fortitude, do let us know and how that goes. Another factor is Palm Sunday kicks it off. Now, 1 week before Easter, Christians celebrate Palm Sunday, commemorating Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem, where he was welcomed with palm branches. So that's very interesting. I know that this is not always practiced throughout the world, but yes, there are Christian communities throughout the world that do also have the Palm Sunday or the 40-day spiritual journey leading up to Good Friday. Now, let's get into some fun trivia and symbolisms for a lighter touch. Now, the Easter Bunny and Jesus. While the Easter Bunny isn't in the Bible, its origins as a symbol of fertility date back to pagan festivals. Over time, it got blended into Easter celebrations. Now, why the eggs? I've always wondered as a kid, like, okay, what's Easter Sunday or the Easter weekend, really? I knew it based on the Christian tradition. And I was like, what about the eggs? What was that about? So if you also had that thought, well, here's the answer. Eggs were once forbidden during Lent, so people would decorate them and eat them on Easter as celebration. Christians also see the egg as a symbol of Jesus' empty tomb. Now, many churches held sunrise services on Easter Sunday to celebrate the moment Mary Magdalene discovered the empty tomb at dawn. And the cross and the hot cross bun. that little pastry isn't just tasty. The cross on top symbolizes the crucifixion of Jesus, and it's traditionally eaten on Good Friday. I really did not know this about the cross and the hot cross bun, so this is very interesting, and the fact that it's all merged into the activities around Easter weekend. Now, moving over, another symbolism is the Passover connection. The Last Supper that Jesus shared with his disciple was a Passover meal, which ties Easter deeply to Jewish tradition. And then there is the Hallelujah returns. Now, during Lent, many churches refrain from saying Hallelujah, but on Easter, that joyful word comes back in full force to celebrate the risen King. Of course, there will be so much more that we could explore on the show, but of course, due to time, we cannot go through everything. Now, we will be right back with an interesting story before we get into an interview.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Now, getting us into our story segment, we start out with a very interesting story. Did you know the Earth has a heartbeat? Not a metaphorical one, a real measurable pulse. Every 26 seconds, a tiny tremor rolls through the Earth's crust. Scientists have been recording it since the 1960s, and it's still happening today. This mysterious pulse is so subtle you wouldn't feel it, but seismic stations around the world pick it up clearly. It's most noticeable in places like West Africa, North America, and Europe, and no one knows exactly why it happens. Some scientists believe it's caused by ocean waves hitting the seabed in the Gulf of Guinea, creating a kind of rhythm that echoes through the Earth. Others think it could be underground water pressure building up and releasing like a natural pump. Volcanic activity was also considered, but no active volcanoes have been found in the area. Now, what makes this even more fascinating is that this small pulse connects to something much bigger, Earth's many natural rhythms, from slow changes in the planet's orbit that affect climate over thousands of years to deep inner processes that shape continents over millions of years. Now, so while we may not feel it, the Earth is quietly, constantly pulsing, reminding us that even the ground beneath our feet is alive in its own way. Now, this ties into some people's beliefs around Gaia, which is the Earth, and they do believe that Gaia is a conscious being, so the Earth is alive in a sense, and so it has a frequency, it has a pulse, it has a soul, it also has memory of, you know, how humanity was ancient times ago. So there's all this belief around, you know, the Earth being Gaia, the Mother Earth. So this is quite interesting to see that science, in a way, might or might not back it up, because they're saying there is a pulse every 26 seconds. It emits a pulse, and it's not yet been confirmed why that is. Maybe it's volcanic activities, maybe it's the oceans, maybe something else entirely, but we still don't know why that is. But there are, you know, sectors of people in the world that believe that the Earth is alive. It's a soul, and it nourishes us, and also it can also kick us out. That they do believe that currently Gaia is raising her frequency. So she is not happy with how the world has treated nature. So that's a very interesting topic. We can dissect that obviously in the comment section. But before I can, talk a lot, let me get into the interview segment for today.
They say that the one thing you need to know about business is that one thing that other people do not know, and that's how you fill a gap in any industry. Today we are joined by Master Dion Kellerman. He is the Managing Director of Kellerman, and we are going to be talking all things Yanebra. I'm so excited. This name, Yanebra. Let's talk about the name. How did it first come about? Yanie. What was the thought process? Are you like, nah, brah? Or in English, it would be like, nah, brah. In Afrikaans, yeah, brah. Let's talk about where that originated from.
It's a good question, and I try not to put so much emphasis on names when we're launching applications and launching companies. But I thought the significance of the name really pulls through the application itself. So exactly like you just said, yeah, near. It's either yes or no, and it's the nature of the application also, being a ratings review app. It's either a yes for a product or service, or it's a no for a product and service. So that's sort of how the name originated from, the application itself. And it's multicultural. So in Afrikaans, in Engels, Namlish, any sort of language, it's a ja of a nee, and I think the slang pulls through quite so. So it's really multi-diverse, yeah.
And it's really relatable. Anyone would be able to relate to that when they hear it rings a bell, and immediately you're like, oh, I need to know more about this business. So what motivated you to start the application?
Well, I think it's a very good question. I think that was actually the driver behind launching the application and building it from scratch. Being a Namibian first and foremost, and traveling quite extensively, we come to terms with what the standards are of a product or a service, what we should expect, what the tourism sort of market wants. And I wasn't happy with what product and service was being delivered within Namibia. And when going to restaurants, retailers, any sort of product or service that's being offered, I wasn't happy with the service.
Yeah.
And when complaining about the service, you don't really get any satisfaction. When taking it higher to ownership level, you really don't get any resolve either. And I thought, what can be done? As a software development company, what can be done? And we sort of delved deep into that question, and we came up with, they need to feel it in the bottom line. So that the only time you make a change to companies, or the companies make changes, is when they start feeling it in the revenue streams.
Yeah.
So we thought, let's launch a product or service where the actual owners can feel it in their bottom line. So if a consumer partakes in this application, they upload it to their phones or their devices, they then complain, this application will really, by word of mouth, scale that complaint, and eventually it will trickle down to the owner itself, whereby the owner will feel it in their patronage, and obviously the patronage will affect their bottom line, and therefore hopefully they make a change to their product, service, thereby hearing the customer's voices. So that was sort of the intention in terms of creating the application first and foremost, yeah.
Okay, so I understand that the application is for people and other businesses to review businesses and services, or basically products and services. Am I correct in thinking that?
You're spot on. I think it's both. So it's beneficial to both, right?
Okay.
We looked at how consumers operate. So it's when you get paid at the end of the month, you have a certain amount of budget. So you pay your car, you pay your house, you pay your rent, you pay whatever you got, food. And there's always a little bit left, depending on how you spend your money. It's either a lot left or a little bit left. And you want to spoil yourself, you want to spoil your family. So that little bit of money that you have, you really need to stretch very, very far.
Yeah.
So let's make an example. When you go to a restaurant, I'm not going to name any restaurants because they don't pay me for advertising. So let's just say you go to a pizza joint, and you want to take your family to have a good time. When you really take a couple of $100 and you want to feed them and have a good time for your kids, your family, your wife, your partner, your scallon doesn't matter, you're parting with that money that you worked for the entire month.
Yes.
So when you get a bad experience, it really affects you. It affects the relationship you have. It affects the relationship that you have for that entire month. It affects the relationship that you have potentially with your spouse, your partner, whatever the case may be. And you really just feel bad that you put this little bit of money aside to have a good, awesome, wholesome experience, and now it's buggered up. And you don't really have a lot of more money to do it.
Yeah.
How do you resolve that? Do you complain? If you complain, you don't have really any options. So we looked at that and we really came up with the application that people need more bang for their buck.
Yeah,
And,
true.
and what alternatives do they have? So if you go to that place, there's no alternative thereafter. So if you complain, nothing's going to happen.
Deaf
So
ears, basically.
100%.
Yeah.
So the application really came about that we also want to build businesses and also give more bang for the consumer's buck. So if the consumer complains, the business will obviously hear that on the application itself, and also as a what can I say, as a patron or the patronage from the consumers themselves, they are allowed to find out other businesses. So let's say one of your friends has another pizza restaurant or they have a mobile pizza joint. They are then able to list that specific business on the application itself. By having a good experience, they can go and geolocate, click those businesses also around, name the business, Peter's Pizza, Mobile Pizza Club. They're now able to purchase from that pizza place as well as purchase from the actual Panarottis itself or whatever business it is.
Okay, how do then people sign up for this platform that you have?
So the platform is currently on browser. So they're welcome to go and Google it. They can scan the QR code. It's as simple as going onto Google. Type in Jan Heerbra, www.janheerbra.co.za.com. They're able to just Google it, click on the link, sign up with their mobile number or email address, and then they just become a subscriber. I think we can get into a little bit what loyalty programs we have and how they're going to be, but they just sign up like that. That's very easy. We are in the place of marketing it quite aggressively, so you're probably going to see some cars driving all over the place.
Nice.
Some banners, airport,
Some
there's lots
TikTok.
of prints, some TikToks, some vibes, yeah. I'm a little bit too old to be on TikTok, but they will have some people on TikTok, so don't expect my face.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to have some socials being going and we're hitting it quite aggressively. I think there's a NAS program happening during the course of next week, so we're going to rope in the students,
Nice.
get some like vibes going, yeah.
Okay, so then how does Jan Heerbra differentiate itself from other businesses that are doing the same type of work in this local market, if any?
I think that's a good question. You know, we since being a small businessman, you're always told you need to come up with a different idea. You need to come up with a new concept, a new idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of hogwash. I just think you need to do something, but you need to do it better.
Yes.
Right? And maybe you can have your own spin on it, but it doesn't have to be to revolutionize the wheel works. Just make it a little bit faster or better or shiny or whatever the case may be. So with Jan Heerbra, what we've done is there are other ratings and review sites. It's not actually a local site. So there are others. I'm not going to name them because they're competition, but they are around. What makes Jan Heerbra special is three things. So it's a ratings and review site. So if you're having a business, whatever sorts, you can register on Jan Heerbra, number one. So for let's take it from the consumer side. It's a ratings and review site. It's a find a business site, and then it's an add a business site.
Nice.
How do those things work? Is that you have if you're a consumer and you want to rate something, rate the customer, rate the product, rate the business, you can go do it on Jan Heerbra. If you're a thirsty tourist or you want to go for a jaw on a Friday night and you go top 10 clubs in Windhoek, top 10 clubs wherever you are, you can do it over there. And then obviously if you found a business that you're really excited about, that drives you, maybe your mom, maybe your dad, maybe your cousin, maybe your aunt, and you want to drive that business specifically, you're able to add it on Jan Heerbra itself. So it's very much user in tune. So the user has full control over what they add, how they add it, and can also expand the SMME market within Namibia, and that obviously contributing to the economy itself.
Yeah. So I want to find out from you what the benefits are for me if I'm coming on to find a business or maybe to do a review of a particular business. Maybe you can just, in layman's terms, just summarize what the business, the benefits are there for clients like myself coming to review a business or maybe adding my own business onto the platform.
Okay, so the cool thing is that you asked two questions in one, so I'll answer in silence so we don't get confused. So Jan Heerbra is an application that services both the consumer as well as the business.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take it from a consumer perspective first. So as a consumer, you have X amount of money. You're obviously a consumer and you're purchasing a product or a service. You want the best product or service. So if you don't get it, you need a place to get resolved. You need to get your money back. It's a complaint. Or if it's positive, you want to obviously maintain that more people experience that specific product or service.
Yeah.
So that's the first benefit as a consumer, is that if you don't get what you want or you don't get what you paid for, there is feedback. There is an opportunity for you to get that
Feedback.
resolved.
Okay.
So that's very important for the consumer itself. There are other benefits like loyalty programs and obviously how we engage, so you can get better product and services from the business owners themselves. That's for the consumer in isolation.
Yeah.
There's more bang for your buck. That's essentially what it is.
Okay.
For the business on the other hand, it's a platform whereby business can get reviews. So if I'm reviewing that business and I'm saying I wasn't happy with the level of service I got, this specific individual that served me was bad, or this specific product that I purchased was bad, or this specific product or service was good. So I don't want it to come across as negative. It's also a positive. That business now knows exactly what works or what does not work, and therefore can either improve on what they were lacking or do more of what is very, very good. So they get real-time feedback from the consumers. And I think anybody that's in the business space wants feedback so they
Yes.
can improve or do more of what they're doing, so they can maintain a better market share.
Yeah.
So it's multifaceted, yeah, for both.
All right,
both sides.
now that we're talking about businesses and consumers, could you share like a brief success story from some of your clients that have used your services and, you know, just feedback what you have gotten and how that has made you feel or want to improve as a businessman?
That's a good question. We only launched on the 1st of April, so there's success stories are few and far between. But yeah, we have a few, and I think it specifically impacts at this moment freelancers.
Okay.
So when it's a business, you're a business whether you have one customer or if you have 1,000 or 1 million customers. You're a business, just like if you're a consumer, you're a consumer. So with that being said, one of the freelancers, one of the photographers that were with us, that just joined recently, said, you know, the application adds so much value to him and his industry.
Oh, nice.
Because a lot of the time what happens was when they send out quotes, you know, you get one quote that's, for example, a poor example, that's $100, and the other one that's $10,000.
Yeah.
And the clients tend to always go for the cheaper.
Definitely.
You know? So they're not going for the value,
Yeah.
they're going for price. So a lot of consumers are price sensitive. So now what that does is as soon as the application comes, they can now have all they're all list and they all subscribe with us for a certain fee, and they can now be reviewed. So all of a sudden the quotation of 10,000 versus the quotation with 1,000 or 100 now makes a lot of sense. Because
Yeah.
$100 consumer or freelancer has one star.
One star,
The
yeah.
photographer didn't turn up. The photographer was late. The photographer took dodgy pictures. The photographer's camera equipment was. The photographer was rude. The photographer was drunk. Then I'm just making an example. The $10,000 photographer for the day says, good, awesome photos.
Yeah.
Very professional. The equipment was good. The photographer had a second and third shooter. It was really amazing service. Rocked up, paid him over 30 days, whatever the case may be. So now when you send out a quotation, the 10,000 really, they go into your brand, they can now get the true value
Yeah.
of the actual photographer and the service. So they're not just going on price, they're also going on the feedback and the reviews. Because the last thing you're going to pay $100, but you're going to waste it. So they said that adds so much value to them because now they're getting more positives
Yeah.
on their quotations versus the negative. So it really added a lot of value to that individual. And I think that's really the success story that we want to carry through. And by virtue of Yanya Bra being a word of mouth application on scale,
Yeah.
I think you look very beautiful today.
Thank you.
So you must have had your makeup done somewhere, your
Yes.
clothing done somewhere. And more than likely you had all that done by somebody saying, go and see that individual because they do really good makeup or hair, right? So Yanya Bra is exactly that. Takes the word of mouth at scale on a digital platform so that everyone
can see.
can sort of hear where word of mouth is good and where word of mouth is bad.
Awesome stuff. Finally, Mr. Dion, perhaps you can just sort of wrap up and sum up your ideas, your business idea. If there is anything that I have not asked you that you think is really, really important that you share, there is your camera.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very broad question. You maybe want to be a little bit more specific because, I mean, I have so many ideas, so many business ideas, so many concepts, so many ways of how things should work. Do you maybe want to be a little more specific?
Just regarding this, is there anything that
Application?
regarding the application, is there anything that you want to share that I've left out?
Yeah, you know, I think the biggest thing for me at this point and why Yanya Bra is so important to me as a Namibian. I think to the Namibian market. I think tourism in Namibia plays a large contributor to our GDP.
Yes.
I think it's as Namibians also sometimes we miss opportunities within that tourism sector as locals, as as an urban economy, we don't just want to provide products and services for tourists. We also want to have it for the locals. And I think Yanya Bra comes into that sweet spot where it's offering a platform where it benefits the consumers, so the consumers can have a voice in terms of talking to the public, talking to the to business owners, and also acting as a voice for the consumers to say, we're also here, so take note of us also and give us good product or service. Otherwise, we will start raising the locals, and not either or. We want to also make sure that the locals have a voice, and also that local businesses have a platform that they can scale. And Yanya Bra acts as something that we really want to see stimulate the economy for the local market, because one of our biggest things on Yanya Bra in Kelman ICT is we build purpose-driven apps that actually stimulate the economy. And Yanya Bra is there to stimulate the SMME market and curb the unemployment. And how do we do that? By having yourself and other consumers list their businesses on Yanya Bra and actually pro-locate and make sure that obviously there's a lot of businesses where we geolocate and make sure that they can be found and they can grow, and that consumers can obviously enjoy the products and services. So that's something that we're proud and we stand for as Yanya Bra and Kelman ICT.
Awesome stuff, Mr. Dion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
So much for coming to our show and coming to tell us about this new application, which you are absolutely excited about and which we will definitely be using. On that note, we will be right back. Stick around.
Now you guys know where to go to leave a review, be it good or bad. And on that note, from me, Glenn Norashipura, enjoy your Easter weekend.